This meeting is being recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's One Roof Masterclass, Pricing Confidence, Better Pricing with Half the Angst. I want to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we gather. I'm currently situated on the Wurundjeri people's land and pay my respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. And I acknowledge that we're sitting at our laptops on varying land today. I also want to extend my respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are present for this webinar today. If I haven't met you yet, hello, I'm Fran, your One Roof Community Manager, and I will be your host today. Before I have the pleasure of introducing our very special guest, I'd like to go through some quick housekeeping things. Please keep yourself on mute if you're not speaking or as advised by Brook throughout the session. I'll also mention that today's session will be recorded. And finally, I'll be present to connect with you through the chat function. So please pop all your comments and questions in there and I'll collect them for Brook and I'll facilitate them on your behalf. So without further ado, I'm so excited to be welcoming Brook McCarthy today. Brook is a business coach and content strategist with more than 16 years experience. Brook specializes in helping sole traders and small business owners who feel self-conscious about marketing and who would rather just do the work than talk about it. We are thrilled to have you here with us today, Brook. So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for that very warm introduction, and it's a pleasure to be hosted by you and by One Roof. And my tea's just arrived on cue. Thank you. I was chatting with Francis before we started. I'm like, I requested a tea. I hope he's going to bring it because it's bloody freezing here in Sydney today. Apparently, it's the coldest Sydney day in 25 years, believe it or not. So hopefully this black screen is a momentary thing. All right, awesome. Can you see our first slide? If you could type in the chat and say yay or perhaps nay, that would be awesome. Great, great, great. And if you want to type in the chat, let me know where in the world you're located to. That would be great, so I can commiserate with any Sydney-siders, although Francis tells me it's a chilly 13 in Melbourne today, which is pretty gross. I spent 4 years living in Asia and was thoroughly spoilt. Sydney is as cold as I ever want to go. Freezing. Oh, all right. Oh, Surf Coast. Oh, the Surf Coast in Victoria. Well, that's not the same as the, the Queensland one. Melbourne. Where I don't know, Alex. I'm at 9 degrees currently in Sydney, so pretty bloody cold. Now let's get started. So hopefully you are in the right room if you are looking for new beliefs, thoughts and attitudes towards money and pricing to try on for size. I think mindset is the common way of talking about this stuff. I really despise the word mindset. I've been a professional communicator for 16 or 17 years now, and I think mindset is a woefully inadequate word to talk about the complexities of our mind. But we're going to kick off with that. So expect to be provoked, expect to feel angry perhaps with me at certain stages today. If you're feeling provoked or triggered or angry, then, you know, I'm doing my job right, because money talk does tend to do those things. Now, then we're going to move on to pricing fundamentals. And we're also going to look about how to price whatever it is that you're selling here. So if you could use the chat for me and tell me what you are selling specifically. And also if you need any help with pricing a specific thing, please put it in the chat. This is a brilliant opportunity. And when I get to that part of the training, you'll understand more as to why it's useful to put what you're selling in the chat. Awesome. Custom made flowers, wedding DJ, watch out. Watch out. Everybody's favorite person at the wedding, or at least the person that gets hassled. I always hassle the wedding DJs. I'm like, dude, what do you call this? No one's going to dance to this, dude. They love me. Let me tell you, they love me. PR services, copywriter, corporate well-being, workplace. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, Alex. I'm that person at the wedding. The workplace-based time coaching. Awesome. Time coaching. Interesting. Divorce coaching. Interesting stuff. Photography, Fantastic. Great. Good. Teaching drama to kids. We're going to talk about the role of marketing and branding and communicating value. So I'm a digital marketing trainer as well as a business coach. I spend the most of my time training and coaching groups of people and individuals, occasionally individuals. And I do that both face-to-face and online. And, you know, a big part of what we're going to be talking about today is communicating value. That is absolutely our responsibility. If you leave with nothing else today, I want you to appreciate that it is our responsibility as business owners to communicate value, because people don't get value. We don't understand what value is. So that's what we have to do in our marketing and branding. And then finally, we're going to talk about sales conversations. I know lots of people would rather write their own eulogies, stick needles in their eyes, rearrange their sock drawer, do their back taxes, bring their bookkeeping up to date, so many other things than sales conversations. So if that's you, you can say, yay, I feel seen in the chat. If you'd rather do anything but talk about money, if you'd rather do anything but talk about sales, then you are in the right place. So I had a lovely introduction from Francis, so I'm not going to talk too much about myself, but I do want to say that what makes me qualified to teach this, because I made all the mistakes. I've been self-employed for 13 years now. The first 7 years of that 13 years, I did digital marketing specifically for alternative health. So that's yoga, meditation, therapy, chiro, osteo, all of that. And I made all the mistakes many, many times over, because I can be a slow learner. I definitely can be a slow learner. But eventually I got it, and I have steadily raised my prices and run promotions alongside these, so that, you know, when you raise your prices, that's a great time for you to be promoting. It's a great time for you to be talking about how your price is going up, and people better act now and purchase. Otherwise, they'll have to pay the new higher price. So one of the very first clients I ever had, I started off doing admin because I was gainfully unemployed, right in the early days of starting my business. I wanted to get some cash in the door. So I did a little bit of admin, and I charged $20 an hour. Actually, I think the client set that rate. They said it's $20 an hour to, file papers. And then I pitched myself as a digital marketer to the same client. And I went from $20 to $100 an hour in one fell swoop. So that was a slightly awkward conversation, but, I didn't die. I'm still here to talk about it. And I also did the same when I did business, when I changed my prices for business coaching. I can't remember how many years ago this was, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I went from $540 to $2,500 in one fell swoop. People got more for $2,500, but it was still, a big hike for a particular service. So most people employ me, most business owners employ me specifically to do with pricing and specifically to do with raising their prices, because it fills most people with a hell of a lot of dread and angst, and we would rather postpone it indefinitely. So I want to start off with this. I would like you, this is for you to do. Yeah, I can't force you to do this. I want to invite you to draw a line in the sand and say, what's happened in the past doesn't need to dictate my future. My relationship with money, my relationship with pricing, how I have been treated by clients, how I have perhaps had poor experiences, bad experiences, regrettable experiences, does not need to continue in the future. Yeah. And if you are saying to yourself, I am bad with money, I don't like talking about money, I'm not good at talking about money, I'm not a numbers person, I love what I do, I don't need to be paid for it, I'm not motivated by money. If you've heard yourself say these things, or if you've told yourself these things, I want to ask you, who benefits from this? Because I would strongly suggest it ain't you. Now, you might have heard this before. This is really common in female entrepreneur circles, of which One Roof is part of. It is really common to hear women's marketing to women as, I'm going to charge what I'm worth. I'm going to get paid what I deserve. I find this really, really unhelpful and sometimes actually quite dangerous, because your self-worth has nothing to do with your earnings. And if you're looking at your bank balance or you're looking at your profit and loss statement and it's affecting your self-esteem, this is not a good thing. Yeah. And so perpetuating this by bringing worth into how you charge is not a useful or helpful point of view. Yeah. You are invaluable. We cannot put a price tag on you. Now, there are definitely things that influence your earnings, and I'm not going to pretend that self-confidence doesn't come into it, but I view self-confidence and self-worth or self-esteem as separate. I'm not a therapist, so I can't really talk to self-worth or self-esteem, but I can definitely talk to self-confidence, which is what we're going to talk about, what we're talking about today. So, what influences your earnings exactly? Here we were thinking that we were starting businesses because we were excellent at teaching drama to children, or we were fabulous at selling personal branding photography, or we'd be great at public relations. We're awesome at public relations. But in fact, it turns out that our ability to market ourselves and our ability to sell ourselves is what is influencing our skills. And for those marketers in the room, or for those PR people in the room, I know it is very, very difficult. It is very, very different when you are selling somebody else's brand to when you're selling your own brand. So no judgment on that. Your brand positioning has a massive influence on your earnings, which we're going to talk about more. Your assets and IP and your ability to leverage these. And absolutely that relates to services as well as products. It relates to any different type of anything, really. Any business has assets and IP and your ability to leverage that. And Anne just made a comment about copywriting. So in the case of copywriting, if Anne has a client intake form, if Anne has a process of questions that she leads clients through in order to write their copy, that would be an asset for Anne's business. Your system support and organizational prowess. So this is particularly when you're earning over 100 grand, this starts to really come to the fore. Yeah, the more you grow, the more pain is provoked by perhaps a lack of systems support and organizational prowess. Your industry to an extent, and I say to an extent because, lots of people tell me, oh, but you can't charge that much in, insert industry here. I worked with yoga businesses for 7 years. Yeah. So look, I understand, but also I think that's lazy. I think that's lazy to say, you don't understand, my industry is poor, none of my clients have money. There is always people in any industry, any sector, any niche you can name who are charging well above the average. Yeah, so your industry is no excuse to not charge well. Your business model. So this is a massive influence, and it's something that I think doesn't get talked about enough. Certainly when you do your profit plan, part of your profit plan is your business model. Every single business model has, different kind of ways of making money. And one quick and easy way that I use to explain this is that you cannot compete with McDonald's because it's very expensive to sell a $2 hamburger. Yeah, and you would go broke very quickly trying to compete with that. Your self-confidence and your emotional resilience have a massive part of it, massive, massive influence. Because if anyone in this training today has been self-employed for, a few years, or even, 1 or 2 years, you would know how up and down our moods can be, especially when things are going well or things are going poorly. It's an unfortunate reality. that, you know, our moods can go up and down, and, you know, it can be really debilitating. It can get extremely tired. Most people quit small businesses. They quit self-employment, not because they're not earning money, not because their businesses aren't profitable, but I believe they quit because they cannot take the stress of that up and down and not knowing. You know, it starts to wear them down after a while. So taking your self-care seriously, building your resilience is absolutely crucial to self-employment. Now, are we ready to try on some new beliefs? I'm not saying you should swallow these whole. I don't want you to do that. God forbid you believe everything I say. I want you to test them out, take them home, try them on, tuck them into your brain, let them marinate. Let's start with the old working long hours. Yeah, I'm so much better because I'm a doer, and I've sat at my computer and I've done stuff, so therefore I'm better or more virtuous than the next person. Let's just chuck that one out, because that one's an old one. That's thousands and thousands of years old. It's been peddled by various churches and religions for absolutely centuries, millennia. Another one, this is a 21st century new belief, and a 20th century one too, perhaps. Making money can be a game. We don't have to take it so seriously. It can feel fun. Some of you might be going, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Some of you might be going, you are nuts. What are you on about? This one's a big one. This is especially for the people in the Zoom room who are undercharging, who are working really hard for 20 grand, 40 grand, maybe 60 grand a year. Yeah, if that's you and you're putting in the long hours and you're earning 20, 40, 60 grand, this is exactly what you need to tuck into your brain and try on. No one is losing when you sell to somebody. No one is losing. And this is one I had for years. And I used to try and anticipate how much money, because I was selling to individuals. I wasn't, you know, and I still do to an extent. Most of my clients are sole traders. They are single individuals. And so I'd be trying to anticipate what was in their bank account until I finally realized how much money somebody has in their bank account is none of my business. And I'm taking people's power away, trying to anticipate that and trying to give them the smallest, most modest thing for the smallest, most modest price. Making money is essentially meaningless. I have 2 kids. They are trading at school. They're trading recess. So they love the days that they get something that's a little bit naughty, because they can then go to school and they can trade it for tiny teddies or salami or whatever other weird food. We have always traded. I think this is a fundamental thing, right? And we only brought money into the equation to make it more efficient and more effective. Yeah. So it is we that overcomplicate things. It is us who overcomplicates things. Once again, I want to ask you, who benefits from your negative beliefs and your negative attitudes towards money? Yeah, because, you know, at the risk of offending people, the Christian church has peddled poverty, you know, is virtue, and Jesus was poor for 2,000 years while accruing massive wealth. It is in somebody's interest, right? Pricing fundamentals. All right, so this is kind of like if I could write what I know about pricing on the back of a beer mat over a beer. This is what I tell you. Your price is arbitrary. You get to decide. You pluck a number from the air. You know, sometimes with clients, they're coming to me and they go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Oh my God, you know, what should I charge, this or this or this? And after a while, I'm like, dude, pick a price, any price. Seriously, just get on with it. Pick a price. Every price is an experiment. When someone buys, great, you've communicated the value you're selling. So that is true every time I raise my prices by a significant amount. You know, I put a quote out there, or I publish. I've got a lot of prices published on my website if you want to go and check it out. you know, when I went from charging $540 to $2,500 for business coaching back in the day, many years ago, you know, I published the price on my site and I thought, is that somebody going to buy? Will it work? Oh my God, have I done it? And then somebody buys at $2,500. Great, done. I have done an adequate job of communicating the value. Now, branding and marketing helps you communicate the value of what you're selling. This is what branding and marketing does. And, you know, some really poor examples I see of this being done is when I'm on somebody's website and I'm looking at a web page and the price tag is in the thousands. So they might have the price published and it might be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $6,000. And they're using 200, 300, 400 words to communicate that. Not really good enough. And I would suggest they're not selling through that web page. They are selling face-to-face. They're selling through the relationships, the in real life face-to-face relationships they have cultivated with their community. Because 300 words ain't going to sell a $3,000 thing. Now, the big trap that most people make is when they run a launch, they run a promotion, they're really excited. They're like, 20 people are going to buy this thing, 50 people are going to buy this thing. And then it doesn't sell and they're bitterly disappointed. So what do? They blame the price. They think, well, price was too high. In 99% of times, they haven't been marketing it enough. They haven't got enough eyeballs on it. When I ask them what their conversion rate is, they've got no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah. So if something isn't selling, it is not the problem with the price. Don't think that the thing is the problem. Look first at the marketing. How many eyeballs have seen it? How many eyeballs looked at the thing and how many people purchased? You divide these numbers and that gives you your conversion rate. So you've got 100 eyeballs, 100 individuals. One person purchases, you have a 1% conversion rate, which is standard. Standard. Absolutely, definitely, you need to get at least 50% up front. If the money is not in your bank account, they are not in your diary and they are not on your mind. Because I don't know about you, but my clients occupy space in my brain. I think about them. I think about them when I'm not talking to them. I think about them in the bath. I think about them on holidays. Their problems become my problems. So somebody hasn't earned the right to squat in your brain until their money is in your bank account. All right, how do you price your things? So what have we got in the chat? Can I have one brave person who's come here today going, oh my God, what am I going to price my thing at? Yeah, can I have one brave person in the chat? Could you please tell me, what is it that you're selling that you're trying to figure out the price? Blogs. Anne, are you talking about blog posts? You're trying to find out what you price a particular blog post at? I'm guessing that's what you're talking about. Yeah, it's because you're a copywriter. Awesome. So Anne's selling written blog posts. She's writing blog posts on other people's behalf. She's writing web copy. Sally is doing coaching programs for women navigating divorce. Awesome. So what I want you to think about is I want you to ask each other now. Let's answer a copywriting question first. So has anybody in this Zoom room today, paid for blog posts? Francis, maybe you might have something to inject here. You might have an experience of having paid for blog posts before. How much could you pay for a blog post? I'll tell you, because I worked as a professional copywriter for a number of years. So the going rate for blog posts is anywhere from $350 to around $700. One of my friends is being paid $700 per blog post. So that's about 800 words, thereabouts. Yes. Oh my God is right. What about coaching? So divorce coaching. Anybody paid for a coaching program? Let's pretend it's one-to-one. I'm guessing it's one-to-one. Anybody in the Zoom room happy to share what price they have paid for one-to-one coaching? $800 an hour. Anyone else? How much have you paid to participate in coaching before? So Sally Ann, do you mind sharing how much you paid for the one-to-one 3 to 4 month program. Janie says $2,000 for a 2-day coaching retreat. I would suggest that's pretty cheap, Janie. That sounds good, especially if you're getting accommodation and food involved. Anne's paid $150 an hour for coaching. So even this, Alex is $800 and Anne is $150. I just got a quote for $1,800 for a 6-hour coaching session. $250 an hour. Awesome. Her package was 3 months and $3,000. Great. So coaching ranges anywhere from maybe $150 an hour. I certainly wouldn't be taking anyone seriously if they were charging less. I believe about 350 is the average, and you can charge well over $1,000 an hour for coaching. Yeah. Can we see the range here? Can we see the range? Yeah. So it's really important to understand what is the typical bell curve. Yeah, because I send clients out to do research in pricing, and they always come back with some massive difference. And if they haven't got, a huge bell curve, then they probably haven't done, thorough research. The typical bell curve is pretty big. And this is why it's really important to talk about money. I am that person. I am that annoying person, even on Sunday at my kids' soccer match. This sounds a little shitty, but I don't care. I don't mind appearing shitty in order to help you. I'm on the sidelines of my children's soccer game, having a conversation with 2 other women about what we charged per day. And somebody had a new job, and I said, how much are you charging for the day rate? And she said $850. And then she said to me, what do you think about that? She was asking for my feedback. This is why we go to those conferences. This is why we go to business events, because we want to get drunk enough to lose our self-consciousness to ask everybody, how much do you charge? How much do you get paid? Ask everybody. Let's stop making it so taboo. How are we going to charge more if we don't know what everybody else is charging? So case in point, last year I had a coaching client who was a wedding planner, who is a wedding planner. And despite the fact that there was no weddings, there were no events, and she had no work, she worked with me, and she went off and she did these things. She went and researched her competitors, and she asked her friends to ask for quotes for competitors where their prices weren't so obvious. She got the quotes back. She thought, oh my God, I'm massively undercharging. She increased her price ×2. She increased it twice in a time when she had no work. So that's another thing I'd like you to consider. You can sell more charging more. I've seen this happen over and over and over again, not only in my own business, but in my clients' businesses. They raise the price on something and all of a sudden it sells more. Yeah, we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. Fuck it, I'm doubling my rates. Love it, Alex. Go for it. But never ask somebody what you should charge. I really... it kills me when I see people do this, especially in Facebook groups. How much would you charge for this thing? What are we going to do? We're going to lowball you, because we know, and especially if we're keen on whatever it is that you're selling, we're going to go, great, if I lowball her, then she's going to charge less, and then I'm going to be the first to buy it, right? Don't ask people what they should charge. They don't know. They don't understand value. It's your business. It's your decision. It does not make you look good. And it certainly doesn't help your confidence, especially when people lowball you. So how do we do this exactly? We've picked a price. Any price. We've asked around. Hopefully we've got some figures. We know now. And I tell you what, this has happened to me over and over again. I remember getting a client years ago, and, they're like, so how much do you charge, for a session? And I'm like, shit, I don't know, $400, $500. I've gone to a friend who worked in that industry and I've said, what's the going rate? She said $2,600. I'm like, wow. Okay. And I went back to the client and I said $2,600. And they said, it's a bit steep. How about $1,000? I'm like, $1,000 was double what I was initially going to charge. Yeah. So you've got to talk about pricing. You've got to ask people. You've got to stop being so English about it and start asking people, what they charge, get a good understanding of this. So you can influence your context because people don't understand pricing. I go to Bunnings to buy what did I buy recently? Secateurs. I have no idea about secateurs. I don't know. I'm just in the aisle and I'm looking at the pricing and I'm thinking, oh, this one's made in Germany. Well, that's good. That must be good. Yeah, because Germans are supposed to be good at this stuff. So it is us as business owners who must take charge of this and, you know, and help people understand. And what do? We're helping people see value. If we change the context, we'll change other people's perception of value. So part of the role of branding is to set expectations for your pricing. Yeah. And remember, this works against you. If you've got a website that looks amazing and somebody's reading your copy and they're really in love with everything that they see and they're like, wow, this woman's going to be expensive. And then they get to your price and it's $200. Well, they're like, oh, something's wrong. Yeah. Your marketing communicates your value and it does your selling for you. So when I have sales calls, when people book themselves into my calendar to talk and they know they're on a sales call, they know we're talking specifically about, you know, buying one thing or another. I don't do a lot of selling. I'm not the bloke at the Good Guys, you know, performing the sales role because my marketing's done that for me. So this is what I'm talking about with brand perception. This is an Apple store, and this, friends, this JB Hi-Fi. This is on purpose. How much is an Apple Mac at the Apple store? And are you going to save any money at JB Hi-Fi? No, you are not. But you're going to think you're saving money at JB Hi-Fi because that's the perception that they're trying to give you. So pick a price, any price, and then put all your efforts into communicating the value of your price. That's where we put our focus, not, you know, oh my God, 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 is anybody going to buy it? Is anybody going to buy it? Yeah, don't stop worrying and start acting by communicating the value of your price. And so what do I mean exactly? I mean, interview your clients and prospects, ask better questions, measure everything, assume nothing. The more that you assume, assumptions can be very, very expensive. Yeah, we assume people understand what we do. We assume that people understand the value of divorce coaching. They've got no idea what any of these things are. You are the expert, and the more of an expert you are, the worse your marketing will tend to be because you've forgotten what a beginner knows or rather doesn't know. Yeah, you have to put all of your efforts into communicating it to a person who's scared and intimidated. Now, I often think about my first experience, one of my experiences at the gym. It's been a long and let's just say emotional journey, me in the gym. I am now a gym junkie, but I used to be extremely intimidated by the whole thing. And I just think about that. I think about going to Crunch Gym, one of the many gyms I paid membership for and never went to. I went at lunchtime one day. Everybody was on the running machines. And I'm looking at all of the machines, all the fancy machines, and I'm looking at the little thingos where you're supposed to understand what the hell they're talking about, how you use this and what muscles it's targeting and blah, blah, blah. I felt like the world's biggest doofus. I felt completely intimidated. I thought everybody was looking at me. Yeah, this is how your prospects are feeling. And the more expensive it is, the more they feel like that. Nobody wants to waste money, right? No one wants to, you know, spend money and then go, oh God, what an idiot I am. That's not a great feeling. So in the sales process, you are trying to assure people, you're trying to make people feel empowered, equip them with the information, not too much information. You don't want to bamboozle them with detail, but you're trying to help them come to a decision. The price is the least of it. People don't buy, most people don't buy based on the lowest price. Yeah. And especially if we're talking about something that's a discretionary purchase. If we're buying toilet paper or milk, perhaps we just go for the most convenient and the cheapest toilet paper and milk. If we're buying something like coaching, something like PR services, something like photography, we're not necessarily going to go for the cheapest price. We don't want to pay the cheapest price. There's been multiple times I've gotten a job and the person who's given me the job has said, you weren't the cheapest. I used to have a client who used to call me expensive, which I took as a compliment. Thanks very much. Yeah, it's value that people want. All right, so who hates talking about money? Could I have a quick show of hands in the chat? Who hates talking about money? Who would rather do anything but? Janie, is that a yes or a no? You like talking about money, Janie, I'm guessing? Yeah. Carolyn's a yes. Sally Ann is happy to talk about it. Not easy. Hate it, hate it, hate it, loathe it. Simone loathes it. Yes, yes, yes. Great. I like talking with other women in business, but not as much with my clients. Excellent. Great. So if you hate talking about money, put your price on your website. Yeah, it is really easy to do. And I tell you what, my money woes ended almost overnight when I stopped writing goddamn quotations, goddamn proposals for people and started just saying, here's the thing, this is what you get, this is what you don't get. This is a quick overview of the process, here's the price. And all of a sudden people purchased or they didn't purchase, but I no longer had to have these time wasting, you know, can we have 3 coffee dates and can you drive across town and can we, you know, discuss it at length ad nauseum. Now, ideally your price goes on a sales page, yeah? And a sales page is a very specific type of copywriting. It's a very specific structure of copywriting that helps to communicate the value of what you offer, and then the price is at the bottom of the page. Because remember, we need to see context. Value is about context, pricing is about context. Ideally, you want to create an online form. Now, I've got a very awesome blog post that nobody's read called Fun with Forms. As it turns out, most people don't find forms that fun. I find them very interesting. The online form is going to help you, and it's immediately going to get rid of the tire kickers. If you've got people who don't like writing stuff down because they'd rather just talk your ear off for 45 minutes, ideally face-to-face, you know, and then they're not even going to bloody pick up the coffee tab, then these people aren't going to bother filling out the form. You follow up with them via phone. They already know the price and you've got the information now to have the sales conversation. So you've got everything you need pretty much to have the sales conversation. And it's, you know, it's a lovely kind of opener as well. I had a sales talk or a sales chat yesterday with somebody from the Bahamas. And, you know, having a couple of details, she didn't tell me she was from the Bahamas, but having a couple of details in the form meant that I can just pick up the conversation. I can start the conversation. All right. So communicating value. If you're selling services, especially if you're selling services, you are selling promises. You need words. You need words, all the words, not diddly words, not common words, not jargon words, not words that have been so thoroughly overused that they've become essentially meaningless, but the best words. Yeah, copywriters are worth their weight in gold. Data. We need data to quantify the value of your benefits and data to qualify the value of buying and not buying. Yeah, the value of buying and the value of not buying. So you can qualify the value that your clients receive with case studies, with testimonials, with media coverage and with social media. This is why social media, or one of the reasons social media is useful, because social media gives social proof. We are pack animals. We are social creatures. We are looking for cues from other people. We don't trust ourselves to make a decision in isolation. We're looking to see if this person has friends, so to speak. So this is something that I teach. I go into depth and detail about how to do just this. But these are the building blocks of value. So again, I really hope I've driven this point home. It's our responsibility. We must take this responsibility seriously. It's not enough to just hang out our shingle and put, a price tag on something. We have to communicate the value of what we sell. Sally Ann, you said, even though your prices are clearly outlined, you still get potential clients booking and then telling you afterwards. So I'd suggest a couple of things. Number one, you're probably making those discovery calls a little too easy for people to access. One quick and easy way is you could make the intake form a hell of a lot longer, or you could hide that discovery call booking behind, like a free video type thing, so that people need to jump through a few hoops before they jump on the phone with you. And then the other thing is you could put more detail into your sales pages, Sally Ann, so that people are better able to understand. More testimonials, more data that illustrates the cost of the problems and the cost of the solutions. Our assumptions can be expensive. All right, behavioural psychology. So I'm just going to touch on behavioural psychology. There's a hell of a lot, this is a massive area, but a couple of things. Karen, you do kind of want to make it hard for people to reach you because you don't have an unlimited amount of time and energy. If you are a single sole trader, you are by definition limited, and therefore you need to reserve your energy. You make yourself accessible, you make it easy for people by putting more effort into your marketing, into your free blogs, into your free videos, into your emails, into your podcasts, but hold yourself back. Because unless you've got a sales team, unless you actually have, a big team, you are by definition limited. So technology has impacted pricing two specific ways. Firstly, we have way more competition. Yeah. Thanks to this thing called Google as well, it's really easy for people to find our competitors. It's really easy for people to see, and people like my brother-in-law, for example, he'll try on a item of clothing and then he'll go into the change rooms with his mobile phone and he will Google cheaper pricing. People do that. So more competitors. Yes, the market is saturated. That's one way of looking at it. That's a fear-based way of looking at it. A more productive or resourceful way of looking at it is that consumers are more discerning. We are more sophisticated. We're not just going to buy now because you tell us to buy now. And number two, decision making. We have become more flaky. We are in a terrible time of flakiness where, we don't want to commit to anything because we have too many decisions. We have been overstimulated by technology, and this is not a good thing. Having a whole bunch of information is not a good thing. Has anybody been to a fast food shop lately, for example? Or maybe, one of those Chinese restaurants where they've got 10-page menus. You're looking at a 10-page menu, or you're at a fast food restaurant and you're staring at this giant wall of information trying to make a decision. It's annoying and painful. Less decisions to make, more choices. It doesn't facilitate choice, having lots of information. So having just said that, how do you think this could influence your price? Well, for those of you who do have, the equivalent of a 10-page Chinese menu of services or goods, less. Cut it down, cut it back. Fewer choices equals more decisions. More choices equals fewer decisions. You're making it hard for people. So 3 different things I'm going to talk about. The decoy effect. One price point is intentionally included to entice you to choose the most expensive option. So, one quick way of explaining that is the thing that people value the most from what you sell, put that in your most expensive package, because that's the thing that they're most keen on. Price anchoring. You've seen this before in sales where it says, it used to be $29 and now it's $19. And you're like, wow, because it says it used to be $29, now I know I'm getting a bargain. Whereas if it just said sale $19, I don't have any price anchoring. So this is a really good idea why we want to never give a ballpark figure. Yeah, because whatever first figure you give people will be what they remember. Verbatim effect. People are more likely to remember the gist of what somebody said, not the specific details. So what does that mean? You need to repeat yourself, and you need to repeat yourself, and you need to repeat yourself, and you need to repeat yourself, because they're not listening. They're too busy scrolling on their mobile phones like you might be doing right now. I find me very funny, by the way. All right, hourly. Let's agree that an hourly price tag is a really bad idea. Yeah, a really bad idea, because people are always going to, question that. They're always going to question that. And really, if you've spent decades and decades and decades and you've got every qualification under the sun, what the hell relevance does it have how long it takes you to do something or not? In fact, you could say the opposite is true. Somebody who doesn't know what they're doing will take a lot longer, and somebody who does know what they're doing will be super quick. Yeah? Stop charging hourly. Anne, this is this is your sign, whatever. This is the thing. Stop charging hourly. Okay, really, really, in capital letters mean now is the day. Now is the time. I want you to think about assets to leverage. Assets to leverage. What can you streamline? What can you create and sell over and over and over again? This is going to make a massive difference with your profitability. Yeah, stop reinventing the wheel. Even something as simple as your client intake form. Don't write a new bunch of questions every time. You should have one bunch of questions that you continue to use for years to come. All right, we're getting right to the pointy end. I want to talk a little bit about marketing strategies to sell. And this is not an extensive list. This is just probably, what I think will be most relevant. Firstly, early bird pricing, especially when you've got significant costs to cover. I well remember the story a woman in business said about 6 or 7 years ago. She told this story in a private Facebook group, so it didn't go very far. But she said, I've just run a retreat. I've run an event for women in business. It cost me $100,000. I lost $100,000. There is that story I will never forget, because there is no reason for that to have happened. There is no good reason for that to have happened. Yeah. Consider your early bird pricing. I fly interstate, or at least I did before the world went to pot. And before I go booking a hotel room in Perth or booking a hotel room in Brisbane or Melbourne, I want to make sure it's going to be financially viable. So I had early bird pricing. The early bird pricing would expire a month beforehand. And after the early bird expired and I knew I had my minimum numbers for it to go ahead, then I would book the hotel room and the flight and the rest of it. Yeah, there is no excuse to lose $100,000 on an event. Sell in pairs or offer a discount for a group. So that means they pay in one lump sum, not individually. Yeah. And we want to give bonuses for those who commit early. So if you could think about it, really, that's kind of what early bird pricing is, right? It's a bonus for the money being in your bank account and, for the money not being in theirs. You want to make sure it relates and extends what the person has purchased. And remember, bonuses can be all kinds of different things. Bonuses could be a payment plan. It could be a limited payment plan that's only available, under certain conditions. You can also have open-close launches for key services to create urgency and scarcity and give your promotions focus. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. You don't have to be selling an online course or an online program for you to run, a kind of an online launch, so to speak. Urgency and scarcity are the two main reasons that people purchase. They purchase because there's an urgent need to do so, or something is scarce. Yeah, they're going to run out. And if, with the best of intentions, if we allow people to be flaky, they will be flaky. If we give them the opportunity to be flaky, they will be flaky. And we're all well-intended, right? We all have excellent intentions. We all intend to go to the gym on a cold day. We all intend, you know, to read books to our kids every night. We all intend, you know, to finally finish that online course. But unless you give people a compelling reason to do so, they will stay on the couch with Netflix. All right, a few more new beliefs that I'd like you to tuck into your brain and try on for size. Sales is social, and people want to talk to you about buying because we're social beings. Some people, you know, I've had people purchase, spend thousands of dollars with me over the internet without talking to me first, which is always joyous and wonderful. But, you know, for those who want to talk to you, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. They're not wanting to talk to you because they hate you and they want to tell you all the ways in which you suck. They want to talk to you because they're social creatures. Some people want to eyeball, will always want to eyeball you before they hand over their cash. Wanting to negotiate your price has nothing to do with how they perceive you. Some people will always ask for a discount. My partner is like that. Doesn't matter how much he wants the thing, he will always ask the person for a discount. It's just his psychology. It's just the way that he clicks, the way he works. So don't think that's any reflection on you. However, if it happens over and over and over and over again, then please try on some of these strategies and tools that I've shared with you today. I love people saying no to me. I push them to say no to me. I want them to say no to me. They don't. Most people would rather do anything but. They would do anything but say no. It's good for them. It's good for you. If somebody hasn't said no to me, if somebody says, oh yes, you know, I absolutely intend to do training with you. I'll come back to you in a few months. Well, you know what? Now they're in my mind. They're squatting in my brain. I'm thinking, I have to follow up. I have to follow up. I have to follow up. Yeah. When they say no, they're no longer in my brain. Great. I can move on and think about other things. People are looking for you for guidance. They're coming to you because they know nothing about wedding photography. They're coming to you because they've never been divorced before. They're coming to you because they need help writing their website and you're the website copywriter. So take the lead. Yeah. People are buying confidence. There's another saying about sales, which is sales is the transfer of enthusiasm from the seller to the buyer. We're buying your confidence. We're buying your enthusiasm. We're not buying from somebody who looks like they don't believe in themselves. Yeah. You've got to act confident. But the joyous thing about confidence is that it's an action. It's different from self-esteem. Yeah. You can act confident and have terrible self-esteem. You can act confident and go home and cry into your pillow later. Yeah. But acting confident means that you are performing, you're putting on a performance. Yeah. Every time I speak on stage, I'm in the wings beforehand, trying not to vomit. I feel terrible. I'm shaking, I'm sweating, I'm all clammy, you know, but I know I just need to push through. And then once I get on stage, I'm going to act confidently and then I'm going to feel bloody awesome within about 5 minutes. The other joyous thing about acting with confidence rather than waiting until you feel confidence is that you get experience. There's no other way. There is no other way to get experience. Yeah, you've got to do the thing in order to get the experience in the thing, in order to get more and more and more, in order to feel awesome and become an expert in your field. So that is that. I'm just closing down the share so that I can see your lovely faces, or as it turns out, a whole bunch of black screens. You can always turn your video on. It'd be lovely to see your face. Hello, Carolyn. Hello, Ruth. Hello, Anne. How are you going? Oh, look at this. How good is that? Fantastic. I love it how all the faces come on.
That was so good, Brooke. And I just want to say that you're getting a lot of love in the chat along the way, and you were very on top of taking the questions. That was amazing. We've probably got about 5 more minutes if people have got any final questions that they want to ask.
Please go ahead. This is a great opportunity to ask all those, oh my God, questions.
Is it okay to ask with voice?
Of course.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brooke, for that. I feel quite energized and want to make a lot of money. My question is, so I'm moving into videography as well, and I reached out to a local production company out here on the Surf Coast, um, just asking if they ever needed help or if I could start assisting them, and it turned out that I could. So the gal who owns it has asked for my rates, which I don't actually have yet because I've never done this work before.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone that actually does it either. So I'm not really sure in terms of who to start talking to and asking, like what's the going rate for this?
There's this awesome thing called Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Recommend them. Go and find 5, 6 Facebook groups that are all people doing that thing, and then ask them what the going rate for a junior is. You will get a huge differential. Know that you'll get a huge differential, and then you decide, you know, what you feel comfortable. And when I say feel comfortable, I think your pricing should make you feel slightly uncomfortable, because I don't know about you, but when I give a price that I think like, oh, that's pretty cheap, I kind of resent the client with the best of intentions. I'm like, ugh. Whereas if I put a price, you know, I got my first government job and I charged $5,000 a day. I was like, fuck me. And it scared the bejesus out of me. Do you know what I did? I worked really hard. I rose to that price, you know, rather than, oh God, this person, you know, they're really getting a bargain.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Perfect. Thank you.
No worries.
Brooke, that ties in perfectly with a question that Janie had. She's just popped it in the chat, and it says, how do you get over the feeling of not wanting to rip people off?
I think that's centuries old baggage. And I think, you know, what we're talking about, a lot of what we're talking about today is psychology, and a lot of what we're talking about is social conditioning and socialization. It is no accident that we feel weird about charging people. Women have only been in the workforce for like 70 odd years. And what were we before then? We were whores. Women that made money sold their bodies, sold sex. Yeah. So, you know, no offense to any sex workers out there, but is it no wonder that we feel like we're ripping people off? Because we've had millennia of this. This is old socialization. This is the burden of history on our shoulders here. Does that make sense? So it's going to take some time. It's going to take a bit of practice. It's going to take looking people in the eye. It's going to take exposure therapy. It's going to take, you know, it's the same with receiving a compliment. If you hate receiving compliments, practice receiving compliments. Yeah, you'll hate every moment of it, and then all of a sudden one day it'll be no big deal at all.
Thanks, Brooke. One final question that I'm just going to sneak in there is about pressure tactics. So someone has asked and has said, you know, what about people who say, oh, my books are about to close for the month, book now, or, you know, like put time pressure on people. What do you think about those strategies?
Look, this is a massive question. I think ethics definitely comes into this, absolutely, for sure. And, you know, personally, I despise being unduly pressured. One of the worst examples of that is when you're on the phone and the person says, you have to say yes today. You have to say yes now on this phone conversation. Otherwise you lose this $500 whatever. Like that's a firm no for me. You can go piss off. I don't want to do business with somebody that acts like that. Having said that, I think most women and most sole traders, especially female sole traders, are doing ourselves a massive disservice trying to pretend that we're McDonald's when actually we're more like Prada. Yeah. By the fact that you are one individual, you are limited. You have 8 working hours in the day, perhaps 5 days a week. You have 40 hours. It ain't a lot of time. Yeah, so you've got to start treating that time as precious, because it's really, really precious. And to stop kind of identifying so strongly with your price. I don't walk around going, you know, I'm $400 an hour, I'm $2,000 a day. Like, I don't think like that. I am Brooke. I'm a mother. I'm a partner. I'm a great dancer. You got any parties? You want the dance floor started? I'm your woman. I'll hassle the DJ, get the right songs happening. But the point is, like, stop identifying with money and pricing. You are not money. You are not your price. You are not your bank account. Take that out of the situation. Did I answer the question? I can't even remember what the question was.
You did, Brooke, and so much more. Thank you so much. You've been incredible today, and we're bang on time, so well done. I just want to give you a massive thank you on behalf of everyone here for your incredible presentation, for your straight talking, for confidence building, for giving us some hashtag real talk to do with pricing, bringing the history, but also some really actionable practices. So thank you so much, Brooke. I know Brooke has a special offer if you want to quickly mention it before we go.
Yeah, I've got a mini course that I'm running on June 24. It's live, and it's all about pricing confidence and about profit planning. So your profit plan is really fundamentals of your business. It's the very first thing that you should do, I believe, when you start your business. And it's something that you should do periodically, because your your profit plan will add up to however much money you make. And that saves you when tax time comes and the tax accountant goes, so you earned like 40 grand this year. And you go, oh, I thought I earned more. If you don't want to do that, then come along. It's June 24. It's only $100, but there is a coupon code for $20 off for One Roof members. So I'll share that with Fran, and she'll pass that on to you.
Incredible. Thank you, Brooke, so much for your time. I hope everyone has a great afternoon and day, and we're also inspired by you now, Brooke. So thank you again. Bye for now.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.